Hi, I'm Carla, and I'm here at Chapters to tell you about a new book by a favorite author, J.K. Rowling. If you're familiar with the Harry Potter books, you're going to be excited for this one. This is called The Ickabog, and it has nothing to do with Harry Potter, but it is about a fantasy kingdom, and it's kind of a story of good triumphing over evil and kids saving the day, things like that. This is a story that J.K. Rowling says she's been working on for years. She put it aside and finished the Harry Potter series and things like that, and then came back to it later. And she pulled it out recently and published it online as a gift to kids who are stuck at home during the pandemic, as a way to brighten their days. And she also encouraged kids to send her their drawings that they made in response to the story. And this published version of the story includes illustrations by kids from around, there's the first one, kids from the United States and Canada. And they submitted their artwork, and there's some really talented kids whose work is in here. But this is a story about a kingdom, a magical kingdom, and the king there has some issues, and you have to read it to find out what happens in the story. I'm going to read you the first couple pages just to give you a taste of how it starts, though. The Ickabog by J.K. Rowling. And by the way, we have copies in the store, and it's on sale now, so you can pick them up anytime you're in town or order online. King Fred the Fearless, Chapter 1. Once upon a time, there was a tiny country called Cornucopia, which had been ruled for centuries by a long line of fair-haired kings. The king at the time of which I write was called King Fred the Fearless. He had announced himself the Fearless on the morning of his coronation, partly because it sounded nice with Fred, but also because he had once managed to catch and kill a wasp all by himself, if you didn't count 5 footmen and the boot boy. King Fred the Fearless came to the throne on a huge wave of popularity. He had lovely yellow curls, a fine sweeping mustache, and looked magnificent in the tight breeches and ruffled shirts that rich men wore at the time. Fred was said to be generous, smiled and waved whenever anyone caught sight of him, and looked awfully handsome in the portraits that were distributed throughout the kingdom to be hung in town halls. The people of Cornucopia were most happy with their new king, and many thought he'd end up being even better at the job than his father, Richard the Righteous, whose teeth, though nobody had liked to mention it at the time, were rather crooked. King Fred was secretly relieved to find out how easy it was to rule Cornucopia. In fact, the country seemed to run itself. Nearly everybody had lots of food, the merchants made pots of gold, and Fred's advisors took care of any little problem that arose. All that was left for Fred to do was to beam at his subjects whenever he went out in his carriage, and to go hunting 5 times a week with his 2 best friends, Lord Spittleworth and Lord Flapoon. And there's that picture of the king. And I bet you can guess maybe that his 2 best friends are going to turn out to not necessarily be the nicest people, and that some adventures will ensue here. So check it out, The Ickabog by J.K. Rowling. It's on sale now, and we have copies here at the store. Thanks.